So I just wanted to address a something I've seen in the Hytale community, and it's just that we're asking a lot of specific questions without understanding the framework mods are put into right now. We have this big question of what a Hytale mod is, and it doesn't seem like very many know what the answer to this is, and that's okay. We're very early on, and it's kind of hard to tell whether it's like ore generation or blocks or something completely different you want to implement. People aren't really sure where to go to find these resources, and I can say from personal experience, some of them are like there's no resources on them because they're not complete, like ore generation, for example. So today I kind of wanted to just take a step back from showing you guys how to mod and like explaining what's actually implemented and what's coming in the future for modding, right? Because they have told us what works and what doesn't work, and that doesn't seem like it's very clear to people. And I thought I'd make a video to kind of explain that and help people understand where they can go for certain resources and what's working and what's not right now. All right, so to get into the meat and potatoes of this video, this is the first thing I want to show off. This is the Hytale modding strategy and the status of modding, really. This is where you find out how you do something, where you do it, whether it's working right now or not, whether it's possible right now or not, the technical level you need to do that thing, and what programs you might use to do that. It answers a lot of the questions people have about modding right now, and it's not everything. It's not going to answer everything, right? But it answers a lot of them. The first thing I wanted to point out is that modding is core to Hytale. They're going to support modding, and they're going to make it easier as time goes on. That's great news for everyone. So you might not be able to do what you want now, but eventually their goal is to make it so that everyone can do everything in modding, even if they have zero experience with programming, right? That's huge because they understand that modding equals longevity for their game. They want their game to last as long as Minecraft. They want their game to outsell Minecraft, right? So they know that what makes Minecraft the best is that it has infinite replayability through mods. So they've locked in on that, right? Unfortunately, we're extremely early access and they missed years of development time, right? So there are limitations to current modding and there are inconsistencies and things that are just not working. That they literally say right here that it is painful to use some of these tools. They're rough, they're inconsistent, and they're painful. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is right now. It's just wildly uneven and they're not happy, which is like that's good to hear. It's sad that it happened, but it's good to hear because we know fixes are on the way, right? Now, to answer the question of what a mod is, Hytale kind of does it for us. There are 4 major content categories that Hytale talks about. They talk about server plugins, data assets, art assets, and save files. Each one does its own thing and is unique to its own. Some of them overlap and have pros and cons for each of them, but for the most part, they do their own thing. Let's go with the easiest to explain, which is art assets. These would be sounds, models, and textures, anything front end. What the player sees, what the player looks at. This is not the interactability, the logic behind it, or collisions, or anything like that. This is just what the player sees. The textures, the fog, all that sort of thing, right? That's handled through art assets, right? And there's a few ways to make art assets. You can use what they recommend, Blockbench, but I'm sure there's other ways of doing it. I'm not sure of them, but they recommend you use Blockbench. The good news about Blockbench is that it existed before Hytale, which means you can learn everything you need to know about Blockbench right now. You can just search in Blockbench on YouTube or in Google, and you'll find documentation, YouTube videos. You could get a masterclass essentially in Blockbench right now. That's really, really good, and it means we're going to have high quality models from modders, even though some of the limitations of modding are there. Obviously, textures and animations as well. Sound would be a completely different program. I know very little about sound, so the Audacity is like the only sound editing software I know about. So, there's also save files. These would be like your Minecraft adventure maps, right? Like if you wanted to make an adventure map and show it to people, like the Dropper comes to
Hello,
mind, or
welcome to
like
the
a
Yogs
scary
car.
Gmon map or whatever. This would be like worlds that are based off of a certain experience, and you would save the world file and give it to somebody. There's also a section about prefabs. I'm not sure why they're grouped together here because prefabs do an all like a sort of different thing. They're in creative tools where you build out a structure or a tree or something that you want to be loaded into your world, and that it saves as a prefab, right? And then you can use that prefab in generation to spawn things in the world. For example, the trees in Hytale, somebody made them in the game, saved it as a prefab, and then used it in the world generation for like oak tree biomes or whatever, right? So that's how prefabs work. I kind of feel like they should be a different thing, but hey, that's how Hytale decided to categorize them. Who am I to tell them what to do, right? The next one would be JSON files or data assets. This is all the data in the game. It's how the game does its logic, essentially. How it understands like this block is this and it has this texture because it's assigned to it, and it belongs to this family which has certain rules, and this family has other rules, and it's just how the game understands what's going on, essentially. And we actually know a little bit about that on this channel because we made a block using the JSON files and added it to the crafting table and stuff. So that's essentially what we used earlier for blocks, items, and you can also use them for NPCs. Um, I've found the drop tables and loots in the asset editor. Not really sure how they work, but I have found them. I also think I found world generation, which I'm going to put up on the screen right now. Um, it's just a ungodly amount of code that just keeps on going, and it's terrible and it's not parsable. Like I can't understand it. I don't think it's made to be understood. I don't think you're supposed to. Actually, I know you're not supposed to edit world generation through the JSON files. You're supposed to use the node editor, which is a completely different monster. You guys saw that earlier when I said things were painful. It has no documentation, by the way. I have no idea how to use the node editor. But moving on, we have server plugins, which are a completely different monster and kind of different than everything else we've talked about so far. So everything else we've talked about has been pretty user friendly. It's very easy to understand. It's intuitive to the player. They understand how to do it. Um, it may take a little like getting used to JSON files, but they're much easier than like hardcore programming. For server plugins, you have to have very, very good Java knowledge from what I've been told. What I've seen on the internet and what I've been told by people. Like you need expert level to make your own thing and like make your own mod and plugin and stuff like that like is complicated and does something. You need pretty good understanding of Java. I don't have that. I have some programming understanding, but not in Java. I want to amend that because I want to become a Hytale, pretty prolific Hytale modder. But right now I don't have that. But it's extended functionality. It's not functionality that's in the game. It's extending upon it. It's adding more things to Hytale, like mini games, for example. Minecraft, for example, doesn't have Bed Wars implemented into the base game. Somebody had to code that in and make it. That's essentially what a server plugin is for Hytale. You're coding in with Java the functionality of Bed Wars or Create or Mechanism or whatever else you want to make in Hytale, right? And that would require Java knowledge and a third-party program, from what I understand, to make those jar files. So not only do you have to go outside of Hytale, but it's also super hard. But yeah, those are the 4 categories as stated by Hytale. Yeah, so they're not adding text-based scripting. They are trying to do visual scripting, which is the node system I mentioned earlier and showed earlier when I was talking about painful stuff. Um, yeah, that's essentially what a mod can be in Hytale. So to just tie this video all together and not leave it on such an awkward note, I just want to explain that not all the tools are out there right now. Not everything is finished, and some of the things are not working as intended as well. So I don't. A lot of people are going to get really frustrated right now and quit modding. I kind of just wanted to make this video to show that like it's it's not that you're dumb, it's not that you don't understand, it's not that like you can't figure it out. It's that like the tools themselves are not working properly right now. And um uh, unfortunately there's no good way to know other than referencing that post whether or not the tools are done and ready to be used. A lot of it is just going to be like throwing yourself at a problem until you figure it out or give up on it until a future date. Um, which is kind of a bummer, but also like we have something to look forward to. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little deep dive into what a Hytale mod is. And I plan to try to tackle terrain generation as best I can. In the next one, I did find an article um, by Hytale themselves about it. So look forward to that. If I can figure out how to do a little bit of terrain generation and maybe a little bit of ore generation in there, if that's done at the same place. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe. Uh, I appreciate all the support on my last video. I've dabbled with YouTube on and off for a long time now, and this is by far that video was by far my most successful video ever. Appreciate the support, and hope you guys have a nice modding experience.